Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to Your Spiritual Practice is a Waste of Time, How to Respond to Critics. So, your spiritual practice is a waste of time. I'm trying to let me put on my before watching this video's mind. Well before 2 minds back, I guess you could say. I would say yes. Then, before I started watching this video, I would say no. And because my mentality then was, if it helps you stay calm and not rage or whatever, then it's 100% working. Now, it's actually the same answer. It's even after watching this video, it's for me, maybe not everyone does, depending on whatever practice it is, works for them. There are many different methods to it, so every method could potentially be unique to the person. So yeah, spiritual practice is a waste of time. Not for me. If it works for you, it works for you. And how would a response to critic? If someone were to say, just for example, if I was doing spiritual practice, if someone told me that practice is a waste of time, then I would explain it in a manner that, do you do anything to relieve your stress? Do you do anything that you enjoy? Do you do anything that calms you down or that makes you feel happy, or that, anything that relieves stress, makes you feel happy, calms you down, releases stress, any of those things. If any of those things that you do, that's what spiritual practice is for me. Releasing stress, calming me down, giving me focus, kind of like rituals that people have. I would say that to critics who say it's a waste of time. Because again, you could also explain the fact that everyone's a little bit different in terms of what they need to get into focus. There's rituals that even sports players do to get them in the mindset. So it's not something out of the ordinary. Oh, so good night.
I'm very happy to resume our question and answer series after a long break. Our first question is from Balaji, a follower of Advaita Vedanta who lives in Pondicherry, India. He says, "My wife has no interest in spirituality, and she's blatantly opinionated against all spiritual gurus. She rejects the teachings of Vedanta and tells our 8-year-old son not to listen to any spiritual teachings."
Whoa, that's a bit harsh. I would say fair enough to say, be careful. Don't fall for fake gurus. I say don't fall for fake gurus as though it's like, oh yeah, fake, real and fake. It's like it's stamped on their face or something. It's very difficult to find to know whether a guru is fake or not. I mean, you can kind of do research to see if they're genuine or not, like the activities they do, what charities they do, what they do for the world or for people in general. And then if they ask for money a lot, buy my book. I just book, and then this one, and then this beads right here. You want to buy this like $40. Book $120, guaranteed. Get you enlightened. You have to be careful for those are very obvious though. So that's why I really, really worry, or I'm very suspicious. My suspicious meter or whatever goes up whenever I see people saying, the book will get you to where you need, and the beads will also get you where you need.
Wow. He goes on to ask, as a mumukshu, a spiritual seeker, how should I respond to people who are against the teachings of Vedanta?
Real quick, sorry to pause again, but how did you not talk to your wife about this? I mean, it's kind of a big thing that you have to make sure you're on the same page on a lot of things.
Is it my duty to, quote, enlighten them about their ignorance? Or should I simply walk away when there's an argument?
Oh, no.
Unfortunately, Balaji's situation is not unusual. Many people reject or even condemn spiritual practices for a variety of reasons. Some of them were raised in atheistic or anti-religious families, and they grew up prejudiced against religion in any form.
I'll say this. Sorry to pause again, but a quick history about me. So my family was religious, not very heavy religious. We just were religious, barely went to church. I remember when I was younger praying to God that I pass the first, second, and third grade, and then I decided one year maybe I won't. Then I just believed in the idea of God. As I got older, I just didn't believe it anymore because nothing proved to me that it was real. I was doing everything on my own. And then as you see religion in the world portrayed pretty badly, like the extremists of Muslims and Christianity and any other religious group that has extremes. Those are the two that are very popular in the U.S. You just see kind of like, oh God, if religion was abolished completely from the world, would be a happier place. Then I remember the quote from my friends, like, no, we'll just find a different problem. It's like, yeah, religion is not the only problem in the world. And this is what made me change my mind to where, okay, it's not anyone's necessarily ideas that causes a problem in the world. People can believe in Allah. People can believe in Yahweh. People can believe in God, and many other religions. God, not a problem at all. The problem is when you say you are the right one and they must follow you. When you start forcing your ideas. That is kind of what's going on right now in the West in terms of identity politics, is that you must believe in what they believe. You must follow their logic or whatever, lack of logic there is, or whatever it is. And so yeah, I used to be that. I became now more like, you know what, live and let live. Excuse me, live and let live. And I'm much happier. If you want to practice that, I 100% support you in your practicing of that, so long as you don't force anyone. If someone wants to learn about it, and you want to teach it, I highly encourage it. So long as you're peaceful about it, not forcing, 100% with you.
Others were raised in highly religious families, but they later rejected the rigid beliefs and practices that were forced upon them as children. As a result of this, they later develop extremely negative attitudes towards all religious and spiritual matters. Others might wrongly believe that you have fallen into some kind of cult, or that you're being manipulated by a fake guru who wants your money. In each of these cases, the criticisms are based either on personal bias or on wrong conclusions. Even family members might question the value of your spiritual practice, sometimes because they don't notice any substantial change in your behavior. Of course, spiritual growth is usually slow, gradual, so your progress might not be immediately apparent to others. But if you respond to their criticism with irritation, anger, or defensiveness, then you'll inadvertently confirm their doubts. Yet, for many spiritual aspirants, irritation, anger, and defensiveness sometimes arise when others criticize or condemn their practice. When you think about it, you don't really need anyone's approval for your spiritual practice. After all, it's for your sake, not for theirs. Nor is it necessary for others to fully appreciate its value. You have discovered its benefits, and that's enough.
100% too. And but mind you, of course, your spiritual practice can't be something kind of extreme, like how do I say, um, slaughtering chicken or goat or cows or dogs or cats or any kind of animal. It's really weird. What made me think of that is actually watching this movie called Gran Torino, and I don't know how true the I think they're called the monks in that movie are. It's probably true. I'm not sure, but they have a ritual that they do, and they slaughter chickens in a particular manner. Which again, so long as they're not letting it suffer or anything like that, and they eat it, which I think they do. It's just a ritual that they do. Then it's not, to me. It's fine. I will say this: my people actually. I don't know if it's a ritual, but they do something that's kind of. It's pretty. I don't like it, but it's tradition. Would you say that it lets the animal suffer? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it does. I don't like it. I don't know if it's still being done today or not. But anyways, kind of like that stuff. So, so long as your rituals aren't something like that where you're letting something essentially alive suffer, not too bad.
It's important to keep these points in mind when others make negative judgments about your practice. Then, instead of feeling threatened or offended, you'll be able to listen to their concerns with an open mind and respond in a thoughtful and sensitive manner. I wish I had been able to do that when I was much younger. I used to get into intense arguments about religious and spiritual topics. Later, I learned that those arguments were born of ego and youthful arrogance. Now, suppose an acquaintance who is a devout Christian learns of your Hindu spiritual practice. He or she might engage you in conversation for the sake of bringing you to Jesus and saving your soul, as they say.
Yeah.
You might have already discovered that arguing with such people is a waste of time. Even if they pretend to be open-minded and interested in a mutual exchange of ideas, they're probably motivated by an agenda to proselytize, to convert others to Christianity. This agenda is based on a biblical mandate to spread the message of Jesus. My guru once said that you should give such people a snack and cup of tea. Why? Because as long as their mouths are full, they can't say anything.
I heard that too.
Let's return to Balaji's question. He asked, is it my duty to enlighten them about their ignorance?
No.
Everyone's duty, of course, is to follow Dharma. And the central principle of Dharma is ahimsa, to avoid causing harm or injury by your actions or by your speech.
Whew.
So, regardless of who it is that criticizes you, you should respond politely, respectfully. Even if others fail to respect you, if you choose to respect them, what do you lose? Nothing. In fact, by responding calmly to someone's harsh words, you become like a mirror, so to speak. A mirror in which they can see the inappropriateness of their own behavior.
I'll say this too to that is that whenever they're being so loud or very offensive towards you, The whole point of that too is to get you mad. So if they get you mad, then what they said and done has worked. But if you're unaffected by it, it will make them even angrier and more mad. I was gonna say madder. It makes them more madder. But yes, if you're hey, look, I'm not saying that I do this. Like I know I get ticked off sometimes when some certain people. As there's not very many at all though, and it's been. When's the last time I got mad? I don't know, honestly. I've never really been outwardly mad. Inwardly, there are certain situations where I kind of get a little bit mad, but then calm down pretty relatively quickly, within 5 minutes. But yeah, I haven't really been mad in a long time, or even just mad. I have like blips of little angers, but mostly internal, never really external. But yes, if they try to insult you, try to get you angry, to elicit a response, an emotional response. I got that from Star Trek, from Spock. If they try to elicit an emotional response from you, and they get it, they've gotten what they wanted. If they don't, you are winning, and they're getting madder, more madder. They're more maddest.
This approach was often used by Mahatma Gandhi to make the British recognize the inappropriateness of their ongoing occupation of India. There's another problem related to Balaji's question about enlightening others about spiritual matters. Suppose a close friend or loved one is suffering terribly due to a major health problem, and you want to comfort him or her by sharing your spiritual wisdom. Even though such intentions are good, the fact is, sharing your spiritual wisdom might not help the person at
Oh, okay.
all. First of all, consider how slow and gradual your own process of spiritual growth has been. With that in mind, it would be a mistake to assume that in just a few hours or days, your brief spiritual instructions would instantly bear fruit. And it's an even bigger mistake to assume that spiritual teachings which have helped you so much will be equally helpful for others. Everyone is different, and those differences need to be understood and respected.
I'll say this on that part. I do ask people to look into Advaita Vedanta. I told them that it, especially those who are kind of spiritual, they claim to be spiritual but not religious. I try to point them in that direction. It's like I told them that I kind of listen to that and I follow that, and it's something that I thoroughly enjoy and like. Do I follow it? Yeah, in some sense I do. But what I mean by follow, it's more I act upon some of the teachings. I don't meditate. I don't do pujas or mantras or rituals or anything like that. But I practice karma, jnana, bhakti. Raja goes all the way in the back. I don't meditate. Although I should, though. I really should. And what I mean by follow those three is because I follow karma. I do mind my actions and my thoughts. I do jnana. I mind my emotions and thoughts. I separate who I am, especially within the body. Like if I start getting angry or upset or whatever, which I don't really get too much often, I understand that it's not me. So I don't. That's the reason why when I get those little spurts, I feel it. I was like, okay, that's not me, and that's the reason why it goes away real quick. And then bhakti, not in the sense of devotion or love to a deity, but more along the lines of what Lakani would say is spiritual humanism, where my love for people, not equally, but my love for the hope of people. Meaning that, while I know there's criminals, there's bad and good people out there, I just hope that, my hope's in the people, because, well, that's the thing that we can see and kind of move in this world. You know, like, I don't know, I guess like a whole bunch of other spiritual leaders who try to get people in the right path.
So instead of sharing your spiritual wisdom, it would be far more helpful to simply comfort your friend or loved one with your companionship and emotional support. Finally, what about Balaji's 8-year-old son who is being told by his mother to avoid religious and spiritual matters? Over the years, I have seen again and again that in families where prayer and worship are regularly practiced, children tend to grow up with better values and attitudes than those with a purely secular upbringing.
Ouch. Say that to the Western world. Secularism. Oh, geez. Well, I didn't grow up with those values, honestly. About, like, religion and praying and all that. Honestly, it makes me wonder, like, how I became who I am. No, don't talk about rebirth now. Trying to keep it within my own reality. I'm not sure. I guess I just realized that the golden rule is very helpful. Treat others the way you want to be treated. So that helps me in a lot of sense of how to treat other people. But then again, there's still a negative side to that. If they treat me badly, then I'm going to treat them badly, which is not a good thing. So the golden rule is not perfect, but it's a decent start. At least it gets you to treat other people initially good. And then from there, it can go bad. And then the flaws in the golden rule. So if they start treating you bad, are you going to treat the other person bad? And I come to realize that people, when they come at you angry or mad, if they don't know you, you never talk to them, like a customer service, for example, then, my thinking is like they had a bad day, something's wrong with them, it's their problem, not mine. And I feel sorry for them. So I try not to let it get to me. I'm not saying it always works, but it's a good idea and mentality when people start talking to you in a bad way, and for it to not to get to you, is because there's something going on in their life so bad that the missing ice cube in their drink really ticked them off. So give them that extra ice cube, because for them to get so mad over that ice cube, something bad is going on in their life, and be glad that you're not them. So there's a way of thinking about that. If they know you, then and they start yelling at you and screaming at you, like not a stranger, but maybe a family member or something, or a friend, well, they're hurt, maybe. That you did something wrong to them, maybe, or maybe they think you did something wrong to them, and hear them out. You're the friend, and also, if they get you upset, then you're kind of making the situation worse. And that's the whole point about people just in general yelling at you, is to get you also upset with them. And if you fall for it, you kind of fall for that trap, and now you're upset as well. So that wasn't so clear, but I hope you get the idea. So let's keep going.
Religious education is especially important. It seems to make children less vulnerable to later problems with alcohol, drugs, sex, and so on. Hindu children benefit tremendously when they're taught the stories, prayers, practices, and basic principles of Hinduism.
I was laughing and pointing at him because he said in his younger years he did drugs and alcohol, especially like LSD type, to get to the spiritual parts.
Even if, as adults, they don't continue to embrace Hindu beliefs and traditions, they will still reap the benefit of their religious backgrounds. I know this from my own experience. My Christian upbringing helped me a lot, even though I later left the religion behind. For all these reasons, it's clear that religious practices and education are extremely important for all children, regardless of their religion. If you'd like to submit a question for a future video like this one, please send it to me at the email address shown at the end. Be sure to indicate video question in the subject line. Also, we are starting a live online question and answer session on Sundays. It will be streamed on YouTube at 11 a.m. here in New Jersey, which is 4 p.m. in London and 9:30 p.m. in India. Please join us.
Shoot. I wonder if I have to resubmit that question that I wanted to ask him a while back. I did say what it was some time ago. I have to ask again, though. So interesting. I don't want to believe that it has to be religion to help a child along. I'm not saying it can't be that, but I don't want it to only be that. That's my personal thing. I don't want it to be. I do not want it to be. I want more, not necessarily a secular, but a more logical thinking, I suppose, to, how do I say, kind of like, I guess, what I've been saying this entire time, where, if someone's upset and you don't know them and they just start kind of yelling at you or whatever, then understand that there's something going on in their life and just be glad you're not them, try to help them as best you can if possible, or just leave them alone or so. But that's kind of hard though, because they're just children. They're children are very susceptible to their egos, very much so. So I don't know, it's gonna be kind of difficult. You do the best you can, and then teenage years, I mean, they're rebellious even during that times too, so I don't know, you do the best you can, I guess. I think most children in the United States are no longer, or they're becoming less and less religious. So religion is dropping quite a bit over here. Trying to think, there are some certain things that may come along with that. Like, again, you got the rise of single motherhood going on over here. You have the rise of people being very promiscuous over here. You have the rise of, well, yeah, single motherhoods, children out of wedlock. And then, is that because of the fall of religion? I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't doubt that being a part of it, for sure. And social media also being a big part of it, probably. I think social media plays a big part of that, and then the fall of religion plays a smaller portion of that. I think that's the case, and I think just how easy and simple and how we're no longer dependent on each other is another part of it. And what I mean by no longer being dependent on each other is the fact that man and woman no longer need to work together in the developed areas. Why? If you need food cook, you can just order it. If you want clothes wash, you have a washer and dryer now. Just pop it in there, and it takes about 5 minutes to put it in there, and then pop it in a dryer. Done. It doesn't take like people hand washing anymore. It doesn't take that long anymore. You want to have fun, you just go out to parties. So there's this, the need for each other is becoming less and less, because the things that, how do I say, the things that we need each other for is now available for purchase, or just available out there without the need, without the connection. Don't need to put any kind of work into it. Food, relationship. It's more prominent in I think in Japan too, because they have like these where you can rent boyfriends and girlfriends. I think it's really weird. I think Japan has taken it a bit further than everyone else. United States and the Western world hasn't quite developed that yet, but it's in the same trajectory where people are not having as many kids. And well, Japan and the Western world's a little bit different actually, but yeah, Japan has that weird thing, and then the Western world has the single mother. Yeah. So I don't know if that's all tied to religion or not. The downfall of religion, or the rise of social media and technology, or the rise of how easy things are now. I have a feeling they're all tied into it. Social media probably being the big one. And why social media? Because it's a lot easier to connect to people now. Where it's like, ooh, he looks good, he looks good. Nah, that one. And then, traveling's easier now. If you have enough money, you can fly anywhere. So, just saying. I don't know. Really weird tangent I went in there. So, anyway, smart action to spiritual practice is a waste of time. How do you respond to credits? If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.